Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Monday Morning Moose. It's November 9th, 2020. We're quickly getting this year under our belt. Loving the fall weather here in Colorado. It's about to start snowing here soon. It's good to be with you all. We're on a mission here at the Monday Morning Moose to bring you information and inspiration in the amount of time that it takes to milk a cow. I am the Cowsultant, the one and only. My co-host Foxy he's out. If you haven't noticed, we've been off the air for a couple weeks. Let's just say he's not feeling well, and we hope he gets better soon. So it's that kind of year. We, as of this morning, are up to 45 subscribers. We're giving a t-shirt to our 50th YouTube subscriber. That will be let's make it a first time. No, I don't even have one of these. Monday Morning Moose t-shirt. Some other big news, we're going to start broadcasting the Monday Morning Moose to our Global Dairy Expo page. As you know, the hosts here of Monday Morning Moose are also the hosts of the Global Dairy Expo. And so we think it would be great to start posting to both YouTube and to our Facebook page. All right, so, and, you know, our motto is here, we got to get 50 followers before we get to 10,000. So it's all about the quality and not the quantity. So this is the show where you get your information and inspiration, and we're going to read the news today, talk about a little bit about the dairy industry news. Class 3 milk prices for the final 2 months of 2020 have changed dramatically since mid-September. The change has been positive, with November futures up nearly $6.40 a hundredweight, and December up about $3.50 a hundredweight. So that's all good news. And then we look over here for our, let's start here, Progressive Dairy, our friends at progressivedairy.com. The editor, Dave Natsky, has a great article on how the Congressional Ag Committee leadership will see some changes, how the House Ag Committee and the Senate Ag Committee make some changes. As you know, we just had an election. Not everything has settled yet. There's one thing that we do know is probably things will change, and regulations, things like that may change. But I urge you to go take a look at the article here by Dave Natsky, and then another great article he has talks about the dairy margin coverage payment and some of the details around that and updates on that. It's not the most fun topic to read about, but maybe it's very valuable to some of you dairy farmers out there in the United States. And so if you look here, they have some links and some videos. Oops, excuse me. Right here, a new online DMC decision tool and a 16-minute video to decide how that tool works. And thank you for Progressive Dairy. They always post these great tools and great opportunities in this Dave Natsky section. So, and appreciate Mark Stevenson and Marin Bozick for putting together that tool for our great dairy farmers out there in the land. Another story that caught my eye was from Moose Jaw Today. And no, don't elect John Cott for mayor, or do. I don't care. He's in Canada. But this is kind of interesting. A study at the University of Guelph said that if the supply management is not fundamentally changed, Canada could see half of their current dairy farms disappear by 2030. And I found that pretty shocking, frankly, because I view, from many years of experience, I view the Canadian dairy market to be probably the best in the world. They protect their small farmers. They've done a really good job. And I hope they do not go backwards and lose those small farms. We need small farms in Canada and the United States and all around the world, really. So hopefully they do change the way they do things and continue to treat their dairy farmers very well in Canada. Check out that article on moosejawtoday.com. Next article that really caught my eye was about Oklahoma State University and the DeLaval robots that they have just recently installed. My friend Kristen Pronshinsky has a nice quote here. Shout out to Kristen. And been seeing quite a bit about this in social media and such. But the story is over there at enidnews.com. So that's the local Oklahoma newspaper there. So that will complete the news for today. Thank you to all of our great news contributors. And let's see if we can get back on the screen here. Oh, there it is in the corner. So, like I said, we bring you information and inspiration. So normally my friend Foxy is the one that inspires everyone, but I'm going to have to take over his Paul Harvey role today and see if I can't tell a little bit of inspirational story. I can't quite do it with the grandfatherly demeanor that Foxy does it with, but here's my best shot, okay? There once was a little boy who had a very bad temper. His father decided to hand him a bag of nails and said every time the boy lost his temper, he had to hammer a nail into the fence. On the very first day, that boy hammered 37 nails into the fence. And then he gradually began to control his temper, and the number of nails he hammered into the fence slowly decreased. Well, he discovered it was easier to control his temper than it was to hammer those nails into the fence. Finally, the day came when the boy didn't lose his temper at all. He told his father the news, and the father suggested that the boy should now pull out a nail every day he kept his temper under control. The days passed by, and the young boy was finally able to tell his father that all the nails were gone. And the father took his son by the hand and led him over to the fence. He said, "You have done well, my son, but look at the holes in the fence. The fence will never be the same. When you say things in anger, they leave a scar, just like this one. You can put a knife in a man and draw it out. It won't matter. How many times you say I'm sorry, the wound is still there." That counts for women, by the way, too. So, moral of the story is, control your anger and don't say things to people in the heat of the moment. Some things in life you are unable to take back and may regret later, just like that hole in the fence. Those holes in the fence, sometimes you can't do much about them. So I learned in communications class one time, because I have a little bit of a temper, put some space between the stimulus and the response. Whatever has aggravated you, whatever has got you upset, before you respond, take some time. Put some space between the two. That served me very well. That was some good advice that I learned in a management class. So hopefully that story will inspire you and possibly help you control your anger and not to say things you'll regret. Anyway, there's your inspirational moment for today. Hopefully that was not quite as good as Foxy, but somewhere close. And so now here comes the rest of the information. As we've said many times before, we've got a top guy, Dr. Trevor DeVries. He comes on our show. There's really no one better than understands the total picture of how to feed cows. And people don't understand how much there can be to lose or gain by overcrowding their cattle. Last week, we talked about a very animal-friendly system from Marina von Kieserling about the buddy system. She didn't call it that, but I do, because I kind of observed a similar system before, and then she only reinforced my belief system that these calves like to be buddies and do everything together, so therefore they should be housed together, ideally. So there was definitely a bully system also that Dr. Trevor DeVries talks about, and that's where a bully cow can assert themselves over the more submissive cows. And this can actually be pretty bad, where it leads these more submissive cattle to shy away from the feed bunk and maybe not eat as much as they normally would. So here's a little 3-minute clip that talks about Trevor DeVries. Trevor DeVries is talking about some studies that correlate bunk space actually with a lower somatic cell count, higher milk components. Let's take a look. If I can. Sorry, folks. Give me just a second. Got the wrong tab. There we go. Roll the tape.
When it comes to automation and when it comes to feed delivery and push-up, probably one of the biggest and best reasons why we should be exploring automation when it comes to feeding is to actually minimize problems related to human inconsistency and just the inability for us in many circumstances to ensure that same consistency from a timing and frequency standpoint. The last thing I want to briefly go through just as we wrap up here is not only making sure that feed there, but that cows can actually access their feed. And that, again, is hugely important from an eating behavior standpoint. And specifically what I mean there is thinking about making sure that there's sufficient bunk space. Stocking densities allow cows to get to the feed bunk when they want to. And I just want to make the point that when we don't have enough bunk space, then we see compromised eating behavior and we see negative repercussions of that. Alternatively, with more space, we get improved eating behavior and we get better production responses. And just a couple examples of that to wrap up here. Field study we did of Canadian herds a number of years ago, where the mean amount of feed bunk space per cow was about 22 inches. That ranged considerably from just over around 12 to 14 inches all the way up to well over 30 inches of bunk space per cow. And what we saw was that across that range, every 4 inches of extra bunk space was associated with more milk fat and lower somatic cell count. And so not necessarily having a direct impact on intake level or production level of the cows, which it can, particularly in our most vulnerable cows, close-up cows, fresh cows, all those things, but having a direct impact on how cows are getting to the feed bunk, the type of eating behavior they're displaying there, even maybe when they're getting to the feed bunk, and that potentially having negative impacts on these milk components. And we see, again, a similar type example from some work that comes out of the Northeast U.S. looking at association of fatty acid profile in milk and management on herds. And what was found in this study was that those herds with high de novo fatty acid content, which we know is highly correlated with bulk tank fat, was also related to the amount of space that cows had available at the feed bunk. And so herds with high de novo fatty acid content were much more likely, 10 times more likely to have at least 18 inches of bunk space per cow. And so the significance of that number being 18 inches is really the minimum maximum amount of space that cows would have, say, in a 3-row barn stocked at 100%, and whereby if we're over 100% stocking density in a 3-row barn, suddenly we're below that 18-inch threshold as far as space goes. And so we're going to ensure good eating behavior, healthy rumens, good productive outcomes from our cows. In this case, milk fat being one metric of that. We need to make sure that cows can get to their feed as well at the end of the day.
All right. Well, that was good. Let's see. Homer Simpson down there. Oops. Pop back out here, boys. So, well, that's very interesting. And, you know, it's, I don't know. You can preach it and preach it. Everybody still likes to overcrowd cows. The science is there. Trevor proves it. Give the cows their space. Especially those transition cows. So, thank you to Trevor. Always great. You can see the complete Trevor presentation on the Global Dairy Expo page. And we're going to start posting instant premieres as well of each speaker from Global Dairy Expo. So, watch for those. And again, I wish Susan Foxworthy, I wish them well. I hope they get well, and I hope he comes back to the show soon. So on behalf of Foxworthy Supply, our show sponsor, this is the Cow Sultant, wishing you all the best of goodbyes. Have a great week. We'll see you next Monday.